Whoa, this is totally unscripted, but if you're trying to figure out whether you need film school to become a professional filmmaker, the short answer is you don't need film school to become a professional filmmaker. But let's take a look at all the pros and cons and let you decide what's right for you. This is a continuous stream of my thought, so I'm sorry if it's going to be too long. Let's roll. By the end of the video, I'd like to share with you how I would have approached an entry into film career had I graduated high school yesterday. But first, a little disclaimer. I personally went to film school and got a 4-year degree from University of Texas at Arlington. All the pros and cons I discuss here are actually based on my personal experience of going to film school. Number one is a structured learning environment. It's kind of nice when you have curriculum all figured out by the faculty, it's time tested, you have professors and teachers who have been there for years, but also have experience and probably a feature film or TV show behind their belt. You also have access to your upperclassmen who invite you to slightly larger productions and graduate films where you can help meet new people, network, and learn something that you wouldn't learn in class probably in your first semester. Some of the film classes would also present you with alternate points of view. You may watch some weird films that you would have never seen probably otherwise, and you may pick up some extra knowledge or develop a taste. Number two is access to equipment and facilities. As a beginner filmmaker, you will have access to a rental room. Every college has a pool of equipment that they usually lend out to students. A lot of that equipment is expensive and probably unattainable to most beginner filmmakers without a budget. So you would have a kind of good understanding of the grip equipment, dollies, cranes, and some of the other expensive cameras probably starting your second year of school. You will also have access to an editing room with supercharged computers and professors who can quickly guide you through editing. One of the most important concepts about editing I learned in college was cut it shorter. I still remember to this day. Cut it shorter was a classic response that my professor would provide to just about any student who would show them their work. Number three is networking opportunities. So once you start film school, you will have a lot of students who are there with you, they're beginners, and you will probably start by making your first crappy film, and it's okay. That experience will actually bond you together. However, make also a point to make friends with upperclassmen because they will invite you to some of the junior and senior films where you will be about 2 steps ahead. And if you can go to those films and just help out, not really looking for any reward, I promise you that will give you a huge leap throughout the entire film school experience. Our professors made it a great point to invite alumni and industry professionals to some of our classes. I still remember how we had a professional colorist come in and show us a Da Vinci suite. We were able to ask them questions about realistic expectations in the industry, and it was inspirational. We had professional cinematographers, editors, actors and directors visit our class. They would also give us a master class and show how they do what they do successfully. We also had an opportunity to ask them questions and learn. I remember when I was in a 3rd and 4th year of my studies, we had a big show coming into Dallas, Texas. Our professors had connections and were able to get us on the show, employ us as PAs and assistants. Many of the students who went on that show were able to network, learn a lot, and after graduation, they got a lot of gigs through the connections they made. Number 4 is mentorship and guidance. It's kind of nice when you have a question, you have professor available right then and there to answer it. You can just schedule a meeting in their office, sit down and pour your heart out. Talk about struggles, talk about successes, and ask for advice. Some of the professors I had became my lifelong friends. And again, I want to remind you, another thing I learned in film school is that it's a very small and exclusive club in town. Everyone knows someone, so you just want to be nice, and everything in film industry is actually based on relationships. One of our film school alumni was at the time director of Panavision Rental House. So our professor was able to get us probably about $1.5 million worth of film equipment. It was a 35mm film, but we had a lot of fun with it and also learned a lot of things. When I mentioned to my professor that I was really interested in learning more about big film cameras, he was able to place me as an intern into Panavision rental house, which was really a great, fantastic experience and a huge learning curve for me. Number 5, portfolio. So as you go through film school, you have a chance to test and experiment, you shoot a lot. One of the best things I experienced in film school was my ability to try different departments and figure out what it is that I like. I was personally known as a DP in my film program. I shot probably just about every other film for other students. As you go through film school, you have an opportunity to try out a lot of different things. On some shoots you grip, on others you direct. You write scripts and you shoot and you light, so you really have a great opportunity to figure out what it is that you like to do on a set. And once you figure out what you like to do on a set, you just start doing more of it. And other students see that you are successful as a DP, for example. So now students who are better directors or producers invite you over to their shoots as DP or maybe a gaffer. Really depends on what it is that you love, and you start doing more of it. And then after graduation, you're still known to the community for that thing you were doing in college. And to be honest, a lot of my classmates who were known as DPs and videographers, they went into professional careers after college and became a well-known cinematographers in LA, Dallas and other cities. And of course, number 6 is the formal recognition. So here's your diploma. Congratulations. Unfortunately, my diploma actually has a typo. I am apparently a Bachelor of Finest Arts. Just for a joke, I actually never went to a registrar office and changed that. I kept it. It's kind of funny. University issuing a diploma with a typo. But hey, good news is in film, nobody would ever actually ask you for your diploma. And that takes us to the cons. Con number 1, you don't need a diploma to be a filmmaker. No one will actually ever ask you, hey, could you show me your diploma? I'm not sure if you can light my set correctly. Could you show me a diploma because I don't believe you can run the camera really well? Or can you show me your diploma because I'm not sure if you can direct the actors on this shoot? No, it's a relationship-based industry and everything really happens through someone knows someone and people recommend you. If you've done a great job on this set, you will probably be invited to that set. If you have made great friends and you provide a lot of value, you will also have a lot of work. And believe me, nobody will ever ask you to show them your diploma. And you don't have to make a resume and list your diploma on it. All you really need to work in the film industry is a great work ethic, being friendly, making friends, showing up on time, and doing exceptional work. Moving on to con number 2, which is rapidly changing industry. And hey, if you feel like you're getting value out of this video, please subscribe, give us a like, and share with your friends. One of the biggest problems with film school and formal education is just exceptionally fast evolvement of everything. Technology, approaches, and styles. So I remember really well how we were changing film magazines. We had a big sleeve with 2 zippers because you can't expose film to light. So we would move the magazine inside of that sleeve, also put the can of the film inside. We would zip up the 2 layers, and then without actually looking at what I was doing, I had to feel the film. I had to put it in the can and put some tape around the can twice. Then I would have to place new film inside of the magazine and actually thread it through, and I had to know how to do it. It was fun learning all of that with one exception. The year I graduated, Red came with Red 1 camera. And that summer after graduation, everything changed. I'd say probably a quarter of all my educational experience went out of the window. And I don't think I've ever shot film since film school. Just a little disclaimer, a lot of theory that we learned about shooting with film is still applicable in digital world. The physics and light exposure is still the same, and you still have to approach it as a craft. One of the habits that I learned from working with film is actually saving the film and not just roll on random stuff. So even today I take due diligence while shooting digital and try not to roll any unnecessary takes. I roll and cut on time, and that saves me a lot of storage on the hard drive. Con number 3 is a theory versus practical balance. And before we even get into the film classes, let me tell you, probably about 2 years worth of university, you're going to be taking classes like history and government, and I took astronomy. There's also a lot of art classes that you will probably never need. I took two-dimensional design, I took sculpture, I took clay, I took glass blowing. I mean, there was a lot of fillers. So know this, out of 4 years of attending actual university, probably only 2 of those years would be packed with film material. The other 2 years would be basic art classes, weird art classes, and a whole bunch of fillers from general studies. So instead of going through all the classes that aren't necessary for a filmmaker, I wish colleges actually provided business courses, because in reality becoming a filmmaker is basically becoming a business person, hence the name of the channel, Filmmaker Entrepreneur. You have to be entrepreneurial. Even if you're just one-person camera crew, you still have to manage your clients, you still have to do outreaches, you have to hire some additional help. Maybe you need additional gaffer, maybe you need a PA, maybe you need a set photographer or an editor. You still have to learn how to reach out to people, how to pay invoices, and how to manage your books. One of the most challenging aspects of being a freelance filmmaker is trying to figure out where to get the next job from. Where is this next gig gonna come from? And that's something that unfortunately college doesn't teach you much of. I remember we had a class called Professional Practices. We created a reel of our work, put it on DVD, and made several copies off of it. And we were supposed to hand out our DVDs to potential employers or clients. We also made business cards and threw together a website. And I think our professor would send us to a couple of meetings for a producer association and maybe a writers association, but that was it. We didn't really learn any structure. How do you structure your work as a business? That's something I wish that colleges actually taught, instead of teaching astronomy, history, and some other classes that we don't really need. Number 5 con is time commitment. Yes, it does take 4 years, and for some of my classmates it actually took 5 years. Know this, out of 4 years, 2 years will be dedicated to classes that aren't about film. And the last con, but definitely not the least, is the cost of education and the debt you will be living with after graduation. To be honest, I don't even remember how much my university cost. I just know that when I graduated in 2011, I still had about $13,000 worth of student debt. And while $13,000 wasn't a particularly large amount of student debt even in 2011 when I graduated, in comparison to a $500 course, that's actually a lot of money. Now, if I graduated from high school yesterday and was making my entry into a filmmaking career, first and foremost, I would have dialed up my social media activity. I would definitely start cranking out reels on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Something that I lacked when I graduated was social media skills. And while film school teaches a lot about filmmaking in a studio or on a big set, in reality, a lot of filmmakers are actually working on smaller stuff like product videos, corporate gigs, weddings, and other projects that aren't big studio films or commercials. So to a filmmaker, audience is everything. That's why I would definitely invest my time in developing my social media channels. If I didn't have more professional camera, even a DSLR, I would just use my phone. I would try to shoot and learn as much as I can. And really, everything in filmmaking is learned by practice. So even if you don't have a camera or big lenses, Just use your phone. Look at short form content you see on social media and just try to recreate it. Your audience is really important because as you go on the free market as a filmmaker, you just have a handful of options on how to secure your next gig. Either you know somebody who invites you to the project, maybe you pay for Facebook ads or Google ads and other people find you and call you, but you have to have money to invest in advertising, and advertising is definitely a whole new ball game that colleges definitely don't teach you in film school. I would also try and reach out to local businesses and offer free services because you need portfolio and you need an experience. And this is how it works. If you do a great job for free to this person, then they would probably recommend you to someone else. This is how you get started. Just be careful and keep in mind that if you will start in weddings, your next client may probably also be in weddings because that's the kind of portfolio you will have and that's the kind of experience you will have. So if you don't want to work weddings, make sure you reach out to corporations and vice versa. If you don't want to be doing corporate videos, then don't try to take on the corporate projects. At some point, other businesses will see your great work on social media and will reach out to you for paid work. Just a word of caution, you probably want to differentiate yourself from other videographers and other video production companies. Find something unique that you can do and be known for, and I guarantee that will definitely boost your value and will up your check when you have a paid client. I remember paying about $5,000 for one of the semesters that I had in college. So if you take that $5,000 and invest as a beginner filmmaker, you can buy a decent DSLR camera with a lens, a mic, some basic lights, and probably even invest in some ads online. Besides the equipment, community in filmmaking is everything. So definitely make it a point to go around town and introduce yourself. Go to other production companies, studios, and rental houses. Just shake hands with people, tell them who you are and what you do. Introduce yourself. I personally got a lot of gigs like that when I started. And once you start getting on sets, make it a point to meet people, be nice, be kind, be courteous. Always go above and beyond. And remember a quick set rule. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. Through fellow filmmakers, you will get a lot of additional and free education on set. Just observe. If you're in the department where you do your job and then you have some time to stand around and watch, don't waste your time. Actually observe. If you like directing, see what the director is doing. If you like to DP, look at what DP is doing. How is DP interacting with other crew members? What is DP actually doing? What's their approach? Don't ever be afraid to ask questions. And hey, people love talking about themselves, so you can always ask during free time. And just remember, film industry is a tight community where everyone knows everyone. So don't neglect helping other people, because if you go and help somebody for free today, that other person will help you for free tomorrow. This is how connections are built. You will get a lot of great advice from your peers and a lot of knowledge from going to sets and working. And there you have it, guys. These are my own opinions and thoughts based on my own experience with going to film school. And I hope these tips will help you make your own informed decisions.